Interstellar object's strange companion. Mysterious interstellar object detected with unusual companion suggesting possible technological design. A newly observed interstellar comet may not be what it seems, according to Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb. The fast-moving object dubbed 3I Atlas could be more than just frozen rock and gas. It may actually be accompanied by a mysterious mini probe designed by an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. Now let's uncover the details of this story on the AI podcast.
Imagine something streaking through the inky blackness of space, not just from a distant corner of our own solar system, but from another star entirely. Now, what if this wasn't just some random cosmic rock, but something? Well, something far more extraordinary, maybe even a meticulously crafted messenger from an advanced civilization. Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack the universe's most mind-bending questions and the fascinating sources trying to answer them. Today, we're plunging into the mystery surrounding an interstellar object known as 3ISLS. It's an astronomical enigma that has the scientific community buzzing, And one prominent Harvard astrophysicist is proposing a theory so audacious it could fundamentally change our perception of reality.
That's absolutely right. Our mission today is to really pull back the curtain on 3I Atlas. We'll explore the consensus science, definitely, but we'll also dive deep into this fascinating and highly controversial idea put forward by Harvard's Avi Loeb. And crucially, we need to discuss what it would truly mean for humanity if his theory turns out to be correct. Especially as this object gears up for a potentially revealing encounter with Mars just weeks from now, we want to give you, the listener, a complete picture, exploring every angle of this cosmic visitor and the intense debate swirling around it.
Okay, let's unpack this then. At its heart, this deep dive is about a colossal cosmic question, isn't it? Is 3I Atlas a perfectly natural phenomenon, like a straightforward icy comet just on an unexpected journey from another star system?
Or could we genuinely be looking at the clearest evidence yet of alien technology?
Exactly. The stakes, as you're about to hear, couldn't really be higher. So, to set the foundation, let's begin with the facts most astronomers seem to agree on. When 3I Atlas was first detected, it immediately grabbed attention because, well, it wasn't from around here. It's an interstellar object, meaning it originated from beyond our solar system. That makes it incredibly rare, incredibly exciting.
Absolutely, a true visitor.
And initially, astronomers were tracking something that seemed almost impossibly large. What were those first impressions? And what led to such a massive initial estimate of its size?
Yeah, it's a classic story of scientific refinement, really. When 3I Atlas was first spotted, the preliminary calculations, they were based purely on its observed brightness. And those suggested it was enormous, something like 12 miles long.
12 miles.
I know. You can imagine the excitement, maybe a little trepidation in the astronomy community. A colossal chunk of ice and rock, much larger than many comets we typically see in our own system. But, as more powerful telescopes like those from NASA gathered more data, those initial estimates got revised significantly.
Okay, so how big is it now thought to be?
We now understand its actual solid nucleus is far more modest, about 1.7 miles across.
Right, so not quite the Goliath we first thought. But if it's only 1.7 miles across, how is it appearing so bright? Almost misleadingly bright.
That's where its magnificent coma comes in. A really significant portion of its brightness, its luminosity, doesn't come from the solid rock and ice core itself. It comes from this vast reflective cloud of dust and gas that envelops it.
Like a big fuzzy coat reflecting sunlight.
Exactly like that. Think of it as a glowing sort of ephemeral atmosphere. It's created as the sun's heat causes ice on the comet's surface to vaporize, to sublimate, and that spews out material dust, gas, which then reflects sunlight, making the whole thing appear much larger and brighter than its actual solid core. It's a spectacular natural phenomenon, really.
That's a great image. So it's shrouded in its own self-generated fog, making it seem much more imposing. But beyond just how it looks, what does the actual stuff coming off it tell us? What's its composition like?
This is where the evidence really strengthens the conventional comet idea. Recent scans have revealed an astounding number, something like 940 trillion molecules of co-Euro, that's carbon dioxide, escaping from the comet every single second.
Wow, trillion every second.
Every second. It's like a cosmic exhale, an astonishing amount of material. And this rapid outgassing, it confirms its highly icy composition that's absolutely typical for a comet. But what's truly fascinating here is that this specific icy composition, combined with its interstellar path, strongly suggests it came from a star system very different from our own.
So it's like a sample from another part of the galaxy.
Pretty much, like a pristine, deep-frozen fossil from another stellar nursery. It gives us this unique, untouched window into the conditions somewhere else long ago. It's a rare and precious find for understanding how things form out there.
Okay, so on paper, it fits the description. Icy, gassy, interstellar, exhaling huge amounts of Q-Rose. A scientific marvel in its own right. But as we often find in these deep dives, what appears straightforward on the surface, well, sometimes it hides a far more complex reality. And that's exactly where Professor Avi Loeb steps in, doesn't he? To challenge that neat textbook definition.
Yeah, and this isn't just some interesting scientific side note. It's a profound challenge to how we understand normal cosmic behavior. And when you have an established figure like Avi Loeb, he's the Frank B. Baird Jr. Professor of Science at Harvard, a celebrated theoretical physicist, when he steps forward with such a radical proposition, it doesn't just raise eyebrows, it ignites a serious debate.
It really does. He's known for pushing boundaries, especially regarding interstellar objects.
He definitely is.
And his skepticism about 3 Atlas being purely natural isn't entirely new. It builds on his previous work, particularly with Oumuamua, which he famously suggested could be alien tech.
Right, I remember that. For 3I Atlas, his earlier ideas were already bold. He suggested it might even be a nuclear-powered vessel.
Nuclear powered. Based on what?
Well, that idea was fueled partly by some tantalizing images from the Hubble Space Telescope back on July 21st. They appeared to show the object generating its own light. Sort of, in a way that wasn't immediately easy to explain with typical comet behavior. It definitely sparked a lot of discussion about what we were really seeing.
So even those initial observations hinted at something maybe beyond the ordinary. But even that was just a prelude, wasn't it? Now, he's unveiled an even more audacious hypothesis, almost cinematic. Not just the comet, but a hidden companion probe.
Exact.
Imagine that. A smaller, entirely undetected craft traveling alongside it, or maybe even leading the way. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
It does, and that's precisely why it's so provocative and why it grabs headlines. According to Loeb's latest paper, this hypothetical mini-probe would be tiny, less than 330 feet in size.
So really small on a cosmic scale.
Very small. And its diminutive stature is precisely why, he argues, it remains unseen by our current telescopes. It makes it incredibly challenging to detect directly. I mean, spotting something that small millions of miles away. It's like trying to see a specific speck of dust on a distant mountain with the naked eye.
Virtually impossible with current tech.
Pretty much. And he posits that this object is traveling ahead of 3 Atlas, not just trailing behind like normal debris might. And the most extraordinary part of the hypothesis, that this companion probe would be designed by an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. It just completely moves the discussion from natural geology to deliberately engineered craft, which is, of course, a huge paradigm shift.
It's a crucial point. Its small size makes it virtually invisible, which is both, I guess, a reason for the theory and for some a reason for skepticism. How do you argue against something you fundamentally can't see?
Exactly. That's the challenge. The lack of direct observation is both the strength and the weakness of the hypothesis. Loeb argues its very invisibility is consistent with it being a small, deliberate probe. A larger natural chunk would likely have been seen. What's really fascinating here is how it pushes the boundaries of our scientific assumptions, We're used to studying things we can directly observe, measure, but this forces us to consider that maybe, just maybe, the most significant clues to life beyond Earth might be hiding just beyond our current technological reach.
Right. It challenges us to think, what if the absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence, but just a limitation of our tools?
Precisely that. It's a profound thought for science.
Okay, so we have this main object, 3 Atlas, confirmed as a comet by most, but with this radical theory of an unseen companion probe put forward by Avi Loeb. Now, what does this all mean for us? And more specifically, for Mars? Because it's not just a theoretical probe. It potentially has a very concrete destination. This takes the whole thing from interesting scientific anomaly to potentially world-changing encounter, doesn't it?
This is where the narrative truly gets a thrilling twist, yeah. And why the next few weeks are so critical. Loeb's paper suggests that if this mini-probe exists, it could reach Mars in late September 2025.
Late September, that's really soon.
It is. And this timing is incredibly precise and crucial because it's just before 3ILS itself makes its closest pass to the red planet. That's projected for October 3rd, 2025, at a distance of only about 18 million miles. Still close, cosmically speaking.
And the speed is incredible, right?
Oh, staggering. 3ILS is currently moving at nearly 40 miles per second. That's about 140,000 miles per hour. Imagine trying to hit a specific target like Mars at that speed. It makes any precise rendezvous an impressive feat, whether it's natural or artificial.
Wow, that speed alone is just mind-boggling. So why exactly is this potential interaction with Mars such a big deal? What specific observable evidence would Loeb point to that could differentiate artificial control from just, natural physics? Could some incredibly unlikely but still natural gravitational effect or random nudges maybe create a similar path? How does he rule that out?
That's an excellent critical question, and it really gets to the heart of Loeb's argument. He contends that this Mars encounter is the ultimate testable prediction for his theory. He argues that if any part of 3I Atlas were to interact with Mars in a, let's say, directed way, it would be almost impossible to explain by natural cometary activity alone.
Okay, why impossible?
He points to two crucial things. First, if natural debris just broke off from 3I Atlas, say, a chunk of ice, it would simply lack the immense speed and the necessary propulsion to cover that distance and intercept Mars accurately. It would follow a more predictable path dictated by gravity and its initial separation velocity, not a targeted one. It wouldn't have its own engine, basically.
Makes sense. And the second point?
Second, the comet's dust and gas cloud, its coma, which we talked about. Observations from NASA's SPHERIX telescope show it's far too small and diffuse to actually reach Mars on its own. It dissipates relatively quickly. So therefore, his logic goes. If anything from 3 Atlas does impact or pass very near Mars, especially if it arrives before the main comet, and if it shows signs of a deliberate trajectory adjustment, well, that would strongly suggest artificial control, a targeted maneuver, not random physics.
So the basic laws of physics, particularly around momentum and trajectory, are effectively on Loeb's side here for this specific prediction. Natural processes wouldn't just haphazardly guide a piece of ice or gas to hit Mars in such a specific, timely way. It sounds like it's saying, if you see a bullseye, it implies there was an archer.
Precisely. That's a great analogy. And this is where the physics gets even more compelling for the archer idea. Loeb explains that for a small self-propelled probe, like the one he hypothesizes, to actually alter its trajectory and hit Mars, it would only require a relatively small orbital adjustment, a delta, a change in velocity of maybe only 6.2 to 9.3 miles per second.
That sounds like a lot to me, but I guess compared to its overall speed.
Exactly. While 6 to 9 miles per second is enough to launch a rocket into Earth orbit, it's actually minimal compared to 3I Atlas's overall speed of nearly 40 miles per second. Think of it like this. That bullet train is already hurtling along at 140,000 miles per hour. For an advanced civilization, making that tiny, precise course correction to hit a planetary target could be like us adjusting a laser pointer slightly to hit a spot across the room. Difficult for us across millions of miles, maybe, but potentially trivial for intelligent design with advanced tech.
Okay, that puts it into perspective.
So, such a slight, precise maneuver, if it were somehow observed or detected, would be one of the strongest indicators yet that 3I Atlas is more than just a comet. It would be compelling evidence pointing towards deliberate artificial control.
That really clarifies the scale of the challenge and the precision Loeb is talking about. It makes the idea of a deliberate act seem, well, less like random chance.
And beyond this pivotal Mars encounter, 3I Atlas is still on its incredible journey through our solar system. It's expected to make close passes by Venus and Jupiter later this year. More opportunities for observation, though maybe not with the same dramatic potential test of Loeb's theory. And for those of us here on Earth, don't worry, it'll swing past our planet on December 17, 2025, but at a relatively safe distance of about 223 million miles.
Phew. That's a huge relief. So no need to panic by telescope filters just yet.
No, your commute won't be interrupted by alien probes, at least not this time.
Good to know. But as it continues its journey and approaches Mars, are we just sort of passively watching and waiting? Or are there scientific instruments really ready to capture this moment, to look for the evidence Loeb is predicting? Are we geared up to test these ideas?
Absolutely. This is where the scientific community is really stepping up. Astronomers aren't just waiting, they're actively preparing. Instruments like the amazing HiRISE camera aboard NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, MRO, are being readied. They plan to capture incredibly detailed images during 3I Atlas's October flyby of Mars.
How detailed are we talking?
HiRISE offers astonishingly high resolution. It can distinguish features on the Martian surface as small as a kitchen table from orbit. So it could provide unprecedented detail about 3I Atlas itself, its surface, its coma structure, and crucially, any associated phenomena or, yes, maybe even separate objects that might be traveling with it, if they exist and are large enough.
So MRO could actually see a companion probe if it's there and, say, bigger than a car.
Potentially, yes, depending on distance and brightness. It's our best shot from Mars orbit. These observations will be absolutely crucial. They could either firmly confirm the conventional comet picture or, conversely, spot anomalies that might lend support to Loeb's more unconventional theory. It's a really exciting time for planetary observation.
So, to kind of bring it all back together, we had the majority view, scientists confident it's a comet, citing the composition, the coma, orbital mechanics, pretty standard stuff, just interstellar. And then on the other side, we have Loeb's compelling, though definitely radical, argument that too many anomalies remain unexplained, particularly this potential for an unseen, artificially controlled companion heading for Mars. It's a fascinating, almost existential divide right now.
It truly is. And Loeb himself has laid out the ultimate if-then scenario for this Mars encounter, a clear framework. His conclusion is stark. If nothing from 3I Atlas reaches Mars in a directed way, if the encounter is just a distant flyby, purely gravitational, then it significantly strengthens the conventional comet theory. Case closed, more or less, for the probe idea. But if something does impact or closely pass Mars, and especially if it shows undeniable signs of directed artificial motion, then, Loeb argues, humanity might be facing its first confirmed, unambiguous evidence of extraterrestrial technology. And this raises a huge question for all of us, doesn't it? How open are we, scientifically and societally, to accepting such profound evidence, especially when it fundamentally challenges our long-held assumptions about our unique place in the cosmos? It would be a monumental shift.
As you can hear, whether 3I Atlas is just another incredible cosmic traveler, a natural relic from a distant star, or something much, much more extraordinary, the next few weeks and months could genuinely redefine our understanding of our place in the universe. It's a powerful reminder that the most incredible discoveries often hide in plain sight, or maybe just beyond our current ability to see, waiting for us to develop the tools, or perhaps just the imagination to perceive them.
And this raises an important final question for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. If we were to observe a deliberate maneuver, a confirmed interaction with Mars, what would the implications be? Not just for science, funding space missions and all that, but for our philosophy, our culture, our religions, our entire understanding of life beyond Earth. It's a profound thought that goes far beyond just astronomy, doesn't it? It challenges us to truly contemplate what it means to be intelligent life in this vast universe, and whether we're truly alone.
For now, the world waits to see, and so do we. Keep your eyes on the skies, or at least on the scientific updates rolling in, because the universe just keeps getting stranger, doesn't it? In the best possible way. This mystery isn't just out there anymore, it's heading for Mars. And we'll be here to deep dive into whatever comes next.
Okay, one question for you. Why do you think interstellar objects like 3I Atlas capture so much public imagination compared to regular comets? Don't forget to comment it. Thanks.